And we are back. New York City's Children's Theater is a not-for-profit organization that's dedicated to enhancing children's literacy and social development through sustainable, accessible, professional theater productions and arts and education programs. Now, the nationally recognized initiatives benefit children and adults alike throughout the 5 boroughs and the tri-state area. And joining me now to share more is the education coordinator of New York City's Children's Theater, Frank Ruiz, and we thank him so much for joining us. We've got this fly around here, and I don't know what we're going to do, but I got Frank over here. Good to have you.
Happy to be here.
Thanks for sharing with us. And we're talking about kids just in the last segment, and really your impact with young people still in a different kind of way.
Absolutely, yeah. So we partner with schools in all 5 boroughs, especially the Bronx, and we bring our residency programs there. We have an anti-bullying program as well, but the main premise of our overarching education program is the adaptation of a book into a short play or musical. So we'll send our teaching artists, they'll take the book and the source material, and they'll work with the kids to inspire songs and a play. And that, what we found is that really does support their language learning as well as their literacy overall.
Yeah, and when we talk about literacy, obviously, a lot of challenges across the city in terms of literacy, but you're finding a unique way in order to bring literacy into the lives of young people.
Absolutely, yeah. So because we're focused so much on that experiential portion, you know, the understanding of the text and really what the core themes are, you know, we find that the kids really lead the conversation when we're creating art with them. So it deepens that understanding, and on top of that, you know, it deepens that emotional well-being, because a lot of these books, they talk about experiences that these kids are familiar with. Some of them, you know, it may be their first time seeing themselves represented in a book. And so getting to tell that story in their own way has been a really, really special thing to witness and support.
It's an exciting time for you all as well, because you guys are in the middle of a tour.
Yes, we are in the middle of our 5-borough tour of New York City with our production Corre, Abuelita, Run. I'm the assistant director, and this story is about a young girl cheering on her abuelita as she runs the NYC Marathon. So we were at the Brooklyn Children's Museum on September 30th, the Bronx Botanical Garden on October 7th, and we will be at the Staten Island Children's Museum on October 15th, the Metropolitan Museum of Art on October 21st, and the Queens Museum on October 22nd.
And these are original productions, right?
Yes, most of our productions, I would say all of our productions, are original pieces that have been developed. Many are developed with a book as the core source material. This one in particular was actually inspired by our director and playwright, Sammy Lopez. His grandmother used to run the LA Marathon every year, and he has such great memories of cheering her on as a little kid. So he really turned it into this beautiful intergenerational story that celebrates culture and language and community.
Yeah. For yourself, obviously, it's got to be a great feeling to see the connectivity with young people and literacy, and then also in theater, because we don't see as much theater as we used to see. So to be able to take this and to be able to really advance that into the lives of people, what's it like for yourself and others who are working behind the scenes here?
You know, it's a really special feeling. I myself was working as an actor and director pre-pandemic for the most part, and then that shift into education was something really meaningful to me, because I got to see how working with students directly, working with young people and bringing these performances to them, how fulfilling it can be and how life-changing it is an experience. You know, coming out of the pandemic, we're still seeing the results as it affects theaters nationwide. But I think, you know, our focus on being centered in community and supporting children's literacy has been a really, really, it's had a positive effect as far as we've seen.
Yeah, and also the work with diversity and inclusion, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's one of our main focuses. You know, one of our programs focuses on multilingual learners. So we're looking at the way that songwriting can really support their development, not only in English learning, but also support that home language, and making sure that that is something that continues to be reinforced in their education.
We talked a little bit in the last segment about social emotional learning, and this is also a great way that really incorporates that social emotional learning.
Yes, and something that I'd love to talk about for a second. One of our programs works in transitional housing facilities throughout the city. And from that, we actually developed something called the Trauma Informed Toolkit for Educators, working with arts therapists and our own teaching artists. We sort of developed this online learning module that's meant to support educators, who are working with young people, generally, 3K through 5th grade. And the idea is looking at how trauma-informed education practice can support all students in a positive way. And I think coming out of the pandemic, that's something that we're seeing a lot of interest in from arts educators as well as classroom teachers, just to see, how this whole situation has affected students' well-being. So being able to create a classroom environment that really acknowledges that is something that I'm really, really proud that we do.
Yeah, you're doing some great things. And we talk about this. It's a great impact on the community as well. Talk about the community impact. I mean,
Absolutely,
the
yeah.
community turns around and says, hey, to have this in their backyard and to come to various places across the city, I'll let you share it.
Sure. So that is something we're really, really proud of with our current touring show, but as well as our ability to really reach out to schools in all 5 boroughs and finding opportunities to engage with community. Something that I think we do that, particularly in education, whenever we're bringing teaching artists on, we try to, hire them so that they are working directly in the community that they live in.
Mm-hmm.
They have that investment almost, and they have that additional understanding that what they're doing is impacting their neighbors, their loved ones. So as our, upcoming shows are, this is our only touring production this year. We have a production called My First Nutcracker for the holidays, and then in the spring we have an adaptation of Pinocchio as well, which both will be at Theater Row near 42nd Street. But we continue to make sure that we are always working in and with the communities throughout New York.
Yeah. And for yourself, obviously, a lot of time and effort goes into these productions, right?
Yeah.
Take us backstage, if you will. Give us a little bit as to the rehearsals and what it's like and really getting geared up, because it's a lot of work that goes into this.
It is, yeah. We had a pretty quick rehearsal process, but our team of actors was really, really wonderful. And like I said, Sammy Lopez, our lead director, he really knows how to create an inviting and accepting room where we can just play and explore the story. And I think because there's so much cultural understanding with this piece in particular, we really got to dive into, what was the meaning of this? Like, what does this mean to explore, topics that you don't always get to see them. In this case, it's a very Mexican-oriented story, with our director's background. And so a lot of the actors on our team were Latinx, Latina actors who really felt like they could bring their own home experience and home life into the story.
And so it's touring around. Let's go tell the people again. Got a chance to see it.
Yeah.
We missed it here in the Bronx if you've missed it already, but there's still other places you can go.
Yeah, so upcoming, we have Staten Island Children's Museum on October 15th, and we have the Metropolitan Museum of Art in Manhattan on October 21st, and the Queens Museum on October 22nd.
And as an organization, you've done some great partnerships as well, because to put this on and continuously, there's some partnerships. So you want to highlight some of your partners before we go?
Absolutely. We work very closely with the Department of Education, their arts office, that in particular with our multilingual learner program, and several partners throughout the city. But if you want more information, I would take a look at nycchildrenstheater.org.
All righty. Well, we want to thank you so much for being with us. And Frank Ruiz is our guest here, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you. Pleasure for being here.
It's all right. Listen, again, if you want more information, visit the website, nycchildrenstheater.org. And, of course, you can follow them on Instagram and Facebook at NYC Children's Theater. We encourage you, please don't go anywhere. We've got more open coming up right after this.